Happy Halloween, my fair friends. Let's spread some positivity.
If you would like to learn about fairy folklore, delve into modern fairy faith spirituality, and explore fun and fanciful fairy-themed events, please subscribe to Fairy Fortunes for new videos every Friday.
Hello, my fair friends. I'm back in my full fairy outfit to celebrate Halloween with you here in 2020. Let's face it, this has been a really difficult year for all of us. I thought it was really important to take a moment and just be inspired and enjoy life and celebrate Halloween and just existing. Luckily, a YouTuber I really enjoy, Kelly-Ann Maddox, started a wonderful hashtag called I LOVE Witchcraft, the Happy Witch Tag. And it really inspired me and filled me with a lot of happiness, and I would like to share that with you. I will have a link in the description box down below for you to enjoy her original video. And like her, I really encourage you to use these prompts, which I as well will copy down below for you, so that you can perhaps make a video of your own, or as she suggested, using them as journal prompts. Now, many of you know that I actually do not prefer the term witch. I usually take on the mantle of fairy woman or simply the boring magical practitioner. But for the purposes of this particular tag, I will just be sticking to the classification of witch. So let's jump right into question number 1. What makes you happiest about the fact that you're a witch? I really find that magic gives me a wonderfully creative coping skill. Anytime that I'm frustrated or sad or I feel powerless, I have a tool readily available, my magic, to address this situation in a creative way and give myself a way to move forward with an action that I feel passionate about. And I would have to say that that is really one of the greatest things that I find about using magic. Number 2 is, what practice do you tend to enjoy the most in your witchcraft and why? My favorite practice is telling fortunes. I'm sure you're shocked to learn about that. Especially when I'm doing a festival and I have the opportunity to do one-on-one private readings for individuals. Telling fortunes for someone, it's a very intimate experience. It's a shared experience. It's really a magical way to have a connection with someone that could be a stranger to you and really identify and share something together. So that is my favorite practice. Number 3, how have you changed in positive ways as a result of practicing the craft? I'm hesitating because that's a little bit of a difficult question for me because I actually grew up in a magical tradition. Well, a little bit. I came from what I believe to be the remnants of a family tradition in magic. So there hasn't really been a time where I didn't believe in magic and that I wasn't exposed to magic. So, a lot of people think that cursing is a very bad thing to do and that you shouldn't do it, but I disagree with that. In fact, the first time that I actively really sat down and designed a very intense magical curse, it was actually a really freeing and positive experience. I still have to maintain a relationship with the person that I cursed, and that was largely the reason that I cursed them, is that the relationship truly was not functioning, and there was definitely a horrible unbalance of power in the relationship. And when I used that curse, it was a freeing experience for me. I was then able to disassociate from the trauma and the situation and relate to that person in a more spontaneous and present way. So I was no longer a victim of our past. I could really be present for that person in every individual moment. I am now able to navigate that relationship in a much more healthy and positive way. So I would have to say that in allowing myself more freedom with my magic, using it in experimental ways, really pushing the boundaries of what might be acceptable to other people, that has really helped me grow as an individual and has really made me calmer and more accepting and present for every person who wanders into my life. Question number 4, what has been the most positive result you have had from a spell or ritual? I think that the most positive spell I ever performed was one that I wrote, I believe, in 2012. At the time, I was really struggling financially, and I had read all of these financial books and was really trying to adhere to those practices. And in most non-magical practices of getting yourself out of bankruptcy or trying to establish healthier financial practices, they always give the same 2 pieces of advice: earn more, spend less. And in 2012, neither of those 2 things were an option for me. Everything that I spent money on was absolutely necessary. I had to pay for childcare. I had to have internet connection in the modern world that we had. I had to buy gas and food and all of the other human commodities that all of us partake and consume in the modern age that we're living in right now. And there was no expense that I could cut out. It wasn't that I was going to Starbucks and buying a $4 coffee every day. I was never doing that. So there was nothing that I could replace. I wasn't going to get my nails done and then could maybe teach myself how to do my nails. I wasn't doing that. And as you have noticed by many of my videos, my hair is very long. I rarely go to get a haircut for myself. So there were really no expenses that I had that I could replace or remove. They were all very important things that I could not live without in my set of circumstances. The second thing was, too, is that I could not earn more. I have, and at the time in 2012, I had the same job. It is a very stable, very reliable job, one that had many positive benefits to it. I was able to provide health care through my job. I was guaranteed that I was not going to be fired. There were a lot of benefits to my job. However, I also was a single parent. I am still a single parent. There was no way to work a second job because I had a small child that I had to take care of and was committed to taking care of. And so having a second job was not going to be possible. And my job does offer a lot of overtime opportunity, but like having a second job, overtime was something that I tried to avoid as much as I could because my child had one primary caregiver, which was me, and my mission at that time, and still is, a devotion to that relationship with my child. So there was no way to earn more money or spend less. So instead I used magic. And I made and designed a wonderful plan for myself that I am now referring to as finagical. And I was able to completely get out of debt. I have no debt. And I even have a significant amount of money saved as well. So that is one of the most beautiful pieces of magic that I ever wrote. It has continued to inspire me to this day because the power of magic really is both freeing and offers so many opportunities and options. There is always a way with magic. Question number 5 is, how has your craft enriched the lives of others? Well, I do hope that sharing my magical journeys and my magical thinking with you here on YouTube has inspired you in some way. So I do have high hopes for that. But in addition to that, I am a very out and proud pagan. I am very forthcoming when people ask me questions about magic and my spiritual practices and things like that. And I feel that, at least I have been in situations where I've been in amazing and warm conversations with a lot of other people who are seeking to know practices outside of their own. I've satisfied their curiosity. And in addition to that, I've had a lot of people in and out of my home because I mentioned that I did have to provide childcare for my child while I was working my very stable job. And so I've had a lot of babysitters in and out of my home, and I am very pleased to report that they have had magical experiences in our home, interacting with me and my son, and hearing our stories and our experiences, and having experiences of their own. So I feel like my magic has been a way for me to reach out and connect and create relationships with people, and I really feel that it has been very rewarding. Question number 6 is, what are you most looking forward to trying in your craft, and why? One thing I did notice is that even though I feel that my whole life is connected to magic and divination and various other things and a magical way of living life, I ironically don't do a lot of spell casting. So when I saw Kelly-Ann Maddox original video of this particular tag, I thought, oh, you know what I would love to do is I would love to do more spell work. So I think next year in 2021, I'm going to try and do one spell every month. And some of them I expect to be large spells to accomplish large goals, like the financial experience that I talked about just recently in this video. And I expect that I will do some smaller spells. I actually don't do a lot of small spells, so it would be interesting to see how I can incorporate magic into small desires in my life. So that's something that I would really like to try for 2021. And of course, I'll be making a YouTube video series out of that. So I do hope that some of you out there will hold me to it and share that journey with me. Magical spells are so gratifying, even when they don't work the way you intend them to, or they fail dismally. The reason that my financial practice actually was so satisfying is that it was a learning process. The spell that I had done to help me with my financials before my financial journey that I did actually was horrible, and it failed miserably. But if I hadn't had that failure, I wouldn't have been able to create the abundance that I have now. So magical spells that fail actually are wonderful learning tools. So I think that by doing more actual spell work, I would grow magically and that I would learn so much from doing that experience. So that's why I'm looking forward to that and really want to experiment with that in 2021. Question number 7 is, what do you like most about the witchy community, online or offline? I think part of the reason that I really was excited about doing this tag is that so often it's so easy to fall into the drama of any community that you're a part of. And you get into that frame of mind where you don't recognize what you like about that community anymore. You're just so engrossed and wrapped up in the drama. So I really appreciated this particular tag because I think it's really important to focus on what we love about where we are now. I'm very fortunate that I am a part of a small group of people that meet regularly to do magical ritual together. We meet usually on every full moon and also the major pagan holidays. Halloween is a big one, although in most magical traditions we refer to Halloween as the Celtic Samhain. And it's just such an honor to be a part of that group. You gain so much from perspective from other people when you are working together in a magical ritual. And I love hearing about what they're working on. I am just so honored that they let me see into their lives and share their lives with me. And it definitely makes me feel connected to the greater world and being a part of something bigger than just myself. So I am very fortunate that I am a part of such a wonderful, close-knit community. I also live in the city of Chicago, which is a wonderful place for magical learning. There are so many organizations here in Chicago that offer different types of classes and workshops, and they're still going on even in 2020. Most of these organizations have utilized the online platforms, and it's just been an amazing experience living in Chicago and being a part of this community. Online as well, I am very fortunate to be a part of the YouTube pagan community. There are so many pagan resources available on YouTube, and there are so many inspiring creative artists on YouTube, like Kelly-Ann Maddox. Some of my other favorites are Beanbag Hagwag is one that I love. Jessica the Story Witch is another YouTube artist that I just always find inspirational. Amethyst Ascension is another one. Simply Witch is a really wonderful channel as well. She does a lot of simple magical craft items that you can replicate and do very easily in your own home. I love that. There are just so many resources online. There are also some great pagan social media groups that you can be a part of. You just basically, the online community is just inhibited only by your own imagination. You just have to have the courage to put your interest in the search bar of a social media platform or on your favorite search engine and see what comes up. It's so vast and so welcoming. Now, of course, there is drama. Of course there is. But there is so much to be gained as well, and you can be inspired by all of these amazing creative minds that are out there in the world today. Question number 8. How do you envision your craft evolving positively in the future? I used to teach workshops at pagan conventions, and I stopped doing that I think because I was so focused on the Fairy Fortunes YouTube channel and starting Fairy Fortunes on the festival circuit, so I stopped teaching workshops, but I would like to, if there are pagan conventions in 2021, I might see if I can start doing some more workshop and teaching. Perhaps I could even take things like the finagical system that I just talked about in this video. Perhaps I could design an online class that could be purchased off of my Fairy Fortunes website. These are all ideas that are just now coming out, so I don't know. So these are things that I think I could do to evolve and grow in 2021. Question number 9 is, how do you keep your witchcraft practice healthy, happy, and productive? Well, you know, I like to think of myself as a very gregarious person. Obviously, I really enjoy doing festivals. I love to sing. I love teaching and being a part of festivals and that kind of thing. So I'm a very outgoing person. I was watching a TikTok video, and a brilliant creator on there was talking about how you can tell which emotion people are ruled by, because a person that's ruled by anger will probably have lines around their mouth from grimacing a lot. A person who's guided by happiness will have laugh lines and crinkles in their eyes. And then the warriors, the warriors, we have lines on our foreheads from worrying all the time. And so that TikTok video stayed with me. And so naturally, I don't stay in a very happy place. I'm always thinking about destruction and doom and how to prevent it. That might be why I'm interested in divination, because it gives me a guide to avoid catastrophe. So a lot of times I get overwhelmed in my head, and so that is a personal challenge. But what I would have to say is that one of the things that I find exceptionally helpful is the practice of meditation, because especially if you're a warrior, do you have lines here? Like me? If you're a warrior like me, meditation gives you a safe place to download all of that running dialogue that is constantly in your head, and just gives you a space where you can observe those anxieties and just let them be. It's not about letting them go. It's about letting them be, and understanding that you will face each one when the time comes, and you will handle yourself to the best of your ability. So meditation is really a wonderful way for me to reconnect with myself, with the divine, with being present in the moment. And another thing about that meditation is I often meditate expressly on what I'm grateful for. And I've had to be very strict with myself on gratitude, because I can't frame gratitude in a negative. Oh, I'm grateful that I'm not sick. That's not helpful to me as a warrior. Because I'm like, I'm not sick now. So it's much better for me to say, I'm grateful that I am healthy today. I am grateful that I take such care to eat delicious, healthy food. So I have to be very specific, and I have to focus on what I have and not what I don't have or don't want. Because any negative is going to just get the worrying brain going. And finally, what is one piece of advice that you would share with other witches to make their path more positive? Embrace your inner fluffy bunny. Yeah. I've seen a lot of drama in the pagan community over everything. But a lot of the attacks go to the people that they've classified as fluffy bunnies, people that don't take themselves seriously, and people that don't go dark, and people that don't experiment with dangerous magic, and people that don't want to cause harm. I'm all for cursing. I mentioned that earlier. But if you don't want to curse people, then don't. Don't let anyone tell you that you have to. Embrace your inner fluffy bunny. It's okay to be positive. We need positive. We need the positive and the negative. But maybe you're not a negative person. Well, hallelujah! We need more people like you. So don't be afraid of what other people think. Use your magic the way you want to use it. Don't let anyone rain on your parade. That's why Bunny's here. Because, trust me, I've seen the worst that humanity has to offer. I guarantee you I have. I'm not going to talk about what I've seen, because that's not the purpose of this video. We have enough of that in the world. We need a few more fluffy bunnies, in my opinion. So you spread your rainbows, and you spread your unicorns, and you do magic that makes you feel inspired and good and positive, because it's important and it's valid. And that's my advice. You are only inhibited by your own imagination. So allow yourself to imagine the most fantastical things you can and see what comes of it. And with that, have a magical day.